it seems silly or strange that that there should exist such a thing as a listening teacher, you know. I think there's this assumption that listening is something we're all either born knowing how to do, or at some point along the way it just happens, the way hair turns gray, you know, like we learn how to listen. But what I've come to believe, having encountered the complexities and challenges of this most essential discipline, this discipline of listening, is that of course we need teachers of listening, you know. It's a skill, and it has to be learned. And what are the question I have is, what are the consequences of not learning it, of not providing our young people with explicit direction in what trustworthy listening is? What are the consequences of that? What happens when we assume that young people know how to listen and even have an understanding of what it is? I think one of the consequences is they never find out, and then they grow up into adults that lead our businesses and communities and government, never having encountered deep, committed, trustworthy listening. And so they never know the world that becomes possible with listening. If you've never learned how to listen, if you don't know what that is, then I don't know if this is totally true, what I'm about to say, but then you've never actually met anybody, you know? You've been in relationship with your assumptions about who they are, not who they actually are. So, we start to find out some of the problems that arise when we aren't teaching our young people what listening is, how to do it, and why it matters. Why it matters. And so that's one thing I'm doing with my life, with my work, is breathing some life into the conversation about listening, and asking us to explore it together, which involves discomfort, involves vulnerability, involves somehow growing into the capacity to contain contradiction, to contain and experience feeling, to look you in the eyes, say, who are you? I want to know. And then to be seen, say, hey, and this is who I am. And it's not a debate. It's not up for argument, you know. This is just about getting to know you. And the reason this is important is because where we're able to go together once we know who we actually are is entirely different than where we would end up if we didn't know who we are. And again, I can only know who you are if I've listened to you. So what we're able to create together, just personally, you and me, and collectively, as a country, as a world, is entirely different once we are all fluent in listening. And it sounds almost trite. It sounds simple. It's like, what? All I have to do is just listen? Yes, actually. And there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to this discipline and practice of listening. And it's something I want to share, and something I want to keep learning about. And without it, there can be no transformation. I think where we're at right now, in this nation, in this world, is we're all longing for some kind of a change. But whatever that change is, it can't happen if we don't understand listening's role in this work of transformation, this work of peacemaking, this work of true resistance. So let's listen together. Let's do it.